October 25th, 2017. We have flipped the script completely. We, of course, broke this 6 months ago. We have the video coming up. Roger Stone said that it was the Clinton campaign and the deputy FBI director that funded the Pissgate dossier. It's big breaking news today. Corey Feldman's come out against the pedophile elites and so much more, ladies and gentlemen. And the globalists are turning against the Clintons. It's all huge news. But first, revenge is sweet, as they made fun of us for being Russian agents. And now it's blown up in their face because they were the ones on the payroll.
Activate Comrade Jones, phase 2. Yes. Understand. Да. Все идет по плану. Можете рассчитывать на меня. Да.
This morning, the Washington Post reporting that a secret CIA report found Russia interfered in the U.S. election to help Donald Trump win.
That report is now fake. They admit that it's fake.
Russia.
Greg, Russian cyber spying on the United States is not anything new or anything unknown, but it seems that this takes it to an unprecedented level.
It's been a cozy relationship from the beginning.
I will not let you down. You will be very, very impressed, I hope. And I think we'll be speaking a lot with
Donald Trump and Alex Jones.
The nation and all of our freedoms hang by a thread, and the military apparatus of this country is about to be handed over to scum who are beholden to scum.
Yes, but Hillary got defeated.
Scum.
So it didn't.
You got all that?
Not for my programming.
I was in there, they took me in the dark hall, my babushka.
Активация программа Альфа Браво Гоблин. Mr. Jones!
Oh, yes, my comrade.
What's your report? Mr. Jones, you've been activated. This is very important.
Yeah, comrade.
You've done your job so well. The first part of our mission is accomplished. Mr. Trump is in the office soon. We have to build the wall. We have to bring the jobs back. We have to build the economy and family.
Yes, defeat the Americans. Defeat the Americans. Stop the tranny bathrooms. Yes, yes.
Yes, Mr. Jones.
Oh, now let me tell you, some of it is good, some bad. They loved Hillary, so beautiful and pure, and we turned them from the beautiful angel to the devil. I'm sorry. I was in America. I learned that Hillary was good.
No, we have to continue to do our mission.
But comrade, he will get angry. They learned that our top agent is Tucker Carlson, the congressman.
Yes.
The congressman on TV, on the Fox News, exposes.
You're carrying water for the Kremlin.
I'm not carrying water for the. You're a sitting member of Congress on the Intel Committee, and you can't say they hacked.
You're gonna have to move your show to RT Russian television because
you know what? That's just so beneath your office because it's so dumb and you're being duplicitous.
Our programs are moving forward to cut the taxes and to allow the Americans to breathe again. And the program is working to contain the collapse of the United States so it does not fall to globalism. And the report is continuing to not fund radical jihadis and other evils. And the report is continuing to let the families actually raise their children and not give them the vaccines and lower their IQs. We are destroying America as planned. We are doing well, and it's wrong because Hillary is an angel.
It's also what happens when you listen to the radio host, Alex Jones. I don't know what happens in somebody's mind or how dark their heart must be.
I began to realize that she is an angel and she wants to help me.
No, you've got to be sent for reprogramming. Hillary.
Not reprogramming. No.
All right.
No, Hillary. Hillary, save me, Bobby.
Russian scum.
Now, I was sent for reprogramming, and this is the result you're about to see right now.
We pledge allegiance to Comrade Putin and his great minion, Donald J. Trump, to make America great again. We pledge this plan to destroy the Americans, to save their economy and their people and their border and their military. Hail Putin! Hail Russia! We will never surrender!
Здравствует Россия и Америка!
Yes.
За дружбу народов!
Yes, that is the KGB plan. Well done, comrades. We show the Americans.
Make America great again. That will show them. For about 18 years, people thought I was a fearmonger. They said I was trying to scare people. And I even learned that the globalists thought that I was somewhat of a joke because they thought, oh, he'll just scare the public for us. Those that are actually awake will just be scared by Jones because our plan is so horrible that those that can actually face it will just be intimidated to shut up. And so leave Jones alone. Back at a time where they could have killed me and it wouldn't have been that big a deal. But now, you see, we understand that my gut was always right. I just went with my instincts. There was no calculation. It was justice be done, though the heavens may fall. If I know something bad's happening, if there's a wildfire coming, like we have here in Central Texas on a routine basis, and it's burning down thousands of houses, and my house is in the way, I evacuate in case the fires get to my house. About 4 or 5 years ago, there were horrible wildfires all around Central Texas, and one got within about a half mile of my house, and I just said, let's go into town and stay at the Four Seasons with my wife and children. And they ended up fighting it and stopping it, but I just wasn't going to sit there with one road out with a fire coming in when I lived out in the hill country. If you know a dam breaks 50 miles up the river, and you know in a couple hours it's going to get there and flood your town, it's not fear-mongering to go knock on neighbors' doors and say, let's do something about this. It's taking corrective action. And yeah, it's crazy that they're putting vaccines into the population designed to hurt people. It's crazy they know GMO by the third generation in every mammal study causes super freakazoid deformities in 90% or more. It's scary to know they've had clones and human-animal clones for at least 30 years, but it's admitted, so we're going to cover it, and it is scary. But we're not just covering it to scare people. We're covering it because I believe in you, and I believe when you're actually faced with a problem, you're going to take action. Gentlemen, the last 4 years, I've been a lot more positive. Because when I go out on the streets of America, or the streets of England, or the streets of Mexico, or the streets of Honduras, or the streets of Italy, or the streets of Spain, or the streets of Scotland, I can't walk 20 feet without people shaking my hand. It's not about Alex Jones. It's about understanding as a litmus test, as a sensor, as a probe, that you're a private person. People don't know who you are. By the way, that's a great value. I have stuck myself in the middle of this like a weather vane, like a fuel gauge. And I have sampled the public's will, and about 4 years ago it happened. We went from probably one person out of 20 people knowing who I was to one out of 3 or 4 to now 50-50, and almost all of them agreeing with me. I don't need polls. I can walk down the street. So if the madman Alex Jones is incredibly popular with most people, what does that say about the globalists? It means they're done. If my ham-fisted assault on the globalist with your help, 99% of it is you, the audience, and this crew, I'm just one focal point of somebody that doesn't care what the crowd said, who doesn't care about peer pressure, and knew I was right because the globalists wrote books and documents admitting the plan. They were so arrogant. They thought you were in such a trance. They thought you were so asleep that you'd never wake up. But now we're entering the season of awakening. Bannon calls it the season of war. We've been waging the information war for decades. And InfoWars only picked up where people like Barry Goldwater and Ron Paul and others, like the John Birch Society, started. So I'm just the wave before the big wave you're now seeing, and an even bigger wave's coming. Waves so big, they're unstoppable. It's called the Renaissance. And the globalists need to stand down and need to get on their knees before the will of the people and the common sense of the species and say no to the eugenics operation and no to the New World Order and no to the Satan worship and the transhumanism and all of it. And you need to understand that we will destroy you. You're never going to get your Godhead. You're never going to worship your God of AI. You're never going to cross the Jordan River. You're never going to enter the promised land. You're not supposed to enter the promised land. You're devil worshipers. You're fallen. You're going to be consumed in your own spirit. You need to understand that. And I know you know that. That's why you want to take us with you. And it's not going to happen. You understand? And I know those of you that are really turned over to pure evil understand that you're not going to give up. You can't. You're totally enslaved. But for your minions and other people seeking power, let me explain something to you. You bet on Satan's team, you lose. And you lose big. They've sold this idea of God being some type of candy ass and Christians being wimps. And the whole world's about to find out that's not the case and that's not how it works. People with discernment have way more knowledge of evil than the darkest practitioners of Satanism. But I'm not saying that with some type of pride in it. I know I'm fallen because I have that knowledge. I have the knowledge of good and I have the knowledge of evil. You people only have the knowledge of evil. And that's why you run around inventing new wickedness. And like roaches running from the sun, you run from those of us that are pointed at God. Now, that said, the enemy is going to launch counteroffensives. And while they prepare Antifa and by any means necessary and Black Lives Matter for massive terror attacks coming up November 4th, and before then, as we've already seen, it's important to understand that the media is simultaneously saying, I made it all up, and it isn't real, because they don't want you to be aware of what's going on and what's happening. It's all imploding, just like we broke down. The elites are turning on the Clintons. They realize that as a symbol, they're killing the Democratic Party. Every day that they keep Pelosi and Maxine Waters and the Clintons as their standards, as their signets, as their logos, as their symbols, every day that they keep them in place is doing more damage than you or I could ever do to them. So that's why there's a civil war within the Democratic Party. There is an insurrection within the Republican Party, and it's why you've seen 4 top Republicans resign in just the last month. And then the media spins it like Senator Flake is on a kamikaze mission. Well, we know how that ended for the Empire of Japan. The old gray ghost, the Lexington, is still docked on the Texas coast. He didn't go to the bottom of Davy Jones's locker. He didn't go to the bottom in Vietnam either. And we're not going to the bottom. The globalists are going to the bottom. That's where they deserve to go. So, that said, ladies and gentlemen, we told you here almost a year ago, we're going to play the video coming up, that it was the FBI director and the Clinton campaign, that deputy director, that financed the fake Russian pissgate that didn't even really come from Russians. We are back live, ladies and gentlemen. President Trump doesn't release classified information until it's legally and lawfully supposed to be released, and he's set to release the JFK information. The deadline is Thursday evening at midnight, so we should have that Friday morning, and we'll be covering that here. But earlier, if you just joined us, I was talking about betting on the American people not being cowards and betting right. The globalists thought that I was going on air talking about all this horrible stuff they're doing, that would intimidate people. Well, yeah, it's going to intimidate cowards and idiots, But people that want to know about a problem and want to fix it because they care about themselves, their family, their children, and the future, they're going to take action. And yeah, the globalists thought they'd get away with being so outrageous, so criminal, so evil, so twisted, so over the top, that it would just be so horrible what they were doing that normal people just couldn't wrap their minds around it. Just like when they dig into somebody's backyard and find 30 bodies of children. And then the police raid the house and there's videotapes of little kids getting tortured. And even grown men sometimes get so depressed they commit suicide just having to watch these videos. It gets so depressing. Because it's not some horror movie, where they make a joke out of it. It's the real deal. But you know what? You got to admit that stuff's going on to stop it. Oh, notice the so-called Vegas shooter's brother just got arrested on child porn charges. What a nasty, nasty family. What a nasty group of people. We've looked into them. Wow. Yeah, we're not getting the full story, are we? No, they admittedly are covering it up because they told the president that it was an ISIS operation, which it was connected to from our information, and that it was to trigger mass attacks all over the country. But really, it was Antifa and leftist deep state sheep dipping the operation through ISIS and Antifa cutouts in case they got caught. They thought they would then just leave it nebulous and project it onto gun owners. Oh, but the good guys in the FBI leaked the info, and we blew the operation wide open day one, October 2nd. And now you're discredited again. Just like we've been telling you day one that it was the FBI deputy director and the Democratic Party and the deep state that went after Trump with the PP Gate thing that they now admit is totally fake. Well, I can tell you that from knowing folks, not just Stone, but people that have known Trump I know somebody that's known Trump for 50 years. He's a one-woman guy, and he is a total neat freak and a clean freak, and is super nice to the woman he's with, but if they turn on him, he's gone. That's why he's been married, 3 times. So Donald Trump, ladies and gentlemen, is the opposite of somebody that wants random hookers to urinate on him. And now it's all fake. CNN labeled Trump a conspiracy theorist for suggesting Dems funded P-Gate dossier. That's up on Infowars.com today. And guess what? Trump has been proven completely and totally, absolutely right. If you go to drudgereport.com, you'll notice there's 2 of our stories up there today. It's now been confirmed that the Democratic Party wisely is turning on the Clintons and the old guard that people absolutely hate. I mean, you couldn't have a worse poster child than Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. And Harvey Weinstein. Why don't you get Jabba the Hutt in there while you're at it, and sprinkle in some secret devil sauce or something? Would you buy a used car? Would you let Bill Clinton babysit your children? No, I think, or Hillary. Case closed. I mean, these arrogant narcissist loon bags don't understand. There's the door. Get out of it 100 years ago. You've always been hated. You were force-fed on the American people, and we're done with you. And then you've got HW. I was told a story about HW by some buddies that were in a certain fraternity at UT, a certain elite fraternity. And one time they were out in Midland, and they were staying at the Bush House. And they thought it was kind of cute that HW grabs every woman's butt that comes in the room, basically, and men's butts. But they said he was, super nice. It's kind of his handshake. I never told that story. But, yeah, it's kind of like Hollywood. They grab your genitals, too. But there you go. He now is apologizing. Former U.S. President George H.W. Bush apologized after actress claims he sexually assaulted her from his wheelchair in his photograph with his wife, Barbara, standing by his side. Well, that's what H.W. does. And believe me, if you went through the stuff he went through at Skull and Bones, that's just him being friendly. He's a really old, wicked person. And his father was the main bagman for the Nazis in South America and Central America and Texas and Connecticut. And so that's why they're so powerful, they're so rich. They got most of the Nazi wealth under them. They are trillionaires, ladies and gentlemen. Little Bush secret that only Texans really know, but a lot of it's been declassified. And that's what he does, is he grabs women by the butt, and he grabs men by the butt and tells them, you have a really nice rear end. And I think I'm going to stop right there. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's who these guys are. People are like, oh, Alex jumped on the bandwagon about sexual assault, once it all came out. I'm not lessening it. And I get how if you're working for somebody, they're doing it, it's wrong and it's torture, basically, and it's humiliating. When I got grabbed by 3 different directors and producers, because one of them had been a director too. When you're there and you feel manly and tough, they were victimizing me, but I didn't take it like I was being victimized. I was like, slap their hand away and like, what are you doing? And ha, 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 it's just a joke. But that's what they do in Hollywood, is they grab you. Just like Crocodile Dundee, checks the tranny. And he's seen so many trannies and he can't tell if they're women or not, because, they are attractive looking for, men. He grabs them to see, okay, I'm going to make sure you're actually a woman. But that's Crocodile Dundee. What's Hollywood telling you? That is the handshake. I'm not telling you I even got abused. I'm not lessening it either. I'm just telling you, I don't come off like super tough, but I don't come off like a cream puff either, I mean, I'm kind of like a gorilla. And if grown men will grab a gorilla's ding-ding, excuse my French, then imagine what they're doing to little women. And that's what the chauffeurs and everybody reporting now. Weinstein would jump on top of these 100-pound actresses. He likes really petite women, and underage reportedly is coming out, and just basically jump on them like a walrus and try and rape them. So when we come back, we got Roger Stone basically laying out who was really behind the PP-Gate dossier, and now that's being confirmed, and more on the other side of this quick break. Newswars.com, Infowars.com, and PrisonPlanet.com. We'll be back as we watch The Fall of the Globalist. So I made the bet that the American people weren't cowards, that they were just asleep, and that if we exposed the fact that a foreign multinational corporate combine was constructing a private global corporate government whose ultimate plan was merging with AI computers, becoming gods, but first exterminating the majority of the public. Just yesterday, and I meant to cover it, I only mentioned it. You guys give me that article, thank you. Elon Musk, the super genius billionaire engineer, came out and said, I'm sick of the establishment saying they're going to live forever and merge with AI, and that is the salvation of Earth. There it is. Elon Musk is worried about people who talk about AI gods. The New York Times attacked me for Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement. And they said, Jones is insane and believes that the elite believe they're going to live forever and merge with AI. The film has the quotes from their publications saying it. Now, people then go, well, they'll never realize that dream. Okay, maybe you're right. The point is they're crazy. I'm not the crazy one telling you these people are doing this. And then I get mad when folks only care about baseball and football and then look at me like I'm a kook because I actually read what the shadow government is doing. I mean, it's like science and information becomes magic or voodoo or something, and you tell people about stuff, and they think you're like trying to show off because you're showing interest in them. I'm showing interest in you because we're in this together. Now, we knew day one that it was the Clintons and the Democratic Party working with Jeb Bush once he got eliminated in the primaries. Hillary and Jeb were both in single digits, but didn't matter. Hillary and the Democrats were so corrupt, they just took the nomination from Sanders publicly. And so we've always broken down that it was the FBI, the Justice Department, and the Clintons, and that's now all in the news today. And we also know that from British intelligence from Ted Malloch and others that talk to these folks, and I have other sources that have talked to them as well, high-level MI5 and MI6, that the dossier was completely fake, but also that it was U.S. intelligence and mercenary groups, and I use that in the popular vernacular, and I'm not saying that actual contractors are mercenaries because they're working for the U.S. government and they believe what they're doing. I think that's an unfair assessment of at least the groups that work for the U.S. They were involved. And when I tell you that people like Eric Prince were involved in some of the leaks, the globalists and the Clintons, they already know that. So if people ask me, well, why are you more friendly towards, Blackwater and all the rest of it, it's because that group helped get the intel out that helped put President Trump in to help turn the country around. So people need to know who has been involved. And it was a lot of groups getting the information out. I mean, it was the Secret Service giving us the information that she has convulsions every 45 minutes and drives around in a black, basically camouflage. That's camouflage. I think camouflage is green or gray and different splotches. No, camouflaged, a clandestine ambulance, a black van. And sure enough, within a week of us getting the intel, there were reports of her in medical tents, and a week before she collapsed in New York, our own Millie Weaver and Gavin Wentz got footage of her for an hour inside a medical tent with emergency stretchers going in. It looked like a beehive, and got hit with a baseball bat. And she fell down like those towers did on 9/11. Very archetypal, very metaphysical, very spiritual. That's how God lets you know this is real. Little things like that. So we're here. And the Clintons are going down. And, I love seeing them start to go down. I love seeing the Bush dynasty start to go down. But at the same time, man, the longer they keep those people up there, the longer that's the face of the Democratic and Republican Party, the better. Because we're just winning. We've been swinging for the fences and knocking grand slams every time we get up to bat. And it is a good time to be alive, folks. So here is Roger Stone, January of this year, here in studio, talking about the providence of the PP Gate, as it's known, complete and total fiction, now confirmed. And it's mainstream news, the consortium of Jeb Bush, the deputy FBI director, and the Clintons all kind of passing the dossier around like you'd pass around a $2 whore. And then, just a little bit of secret sauce on top from the FBI to make it look like it had providence, and then say 17 agencies unanimously say that, at night, Trump's wearing hammer and sickle underwear and a Russian cap on his head. Here it is.
The acting director, McCabe, it would be a disaster. This is a guy who...
His wife gave $600,000 to the Democrats.
Well, no, it's twofold here.
She gave in.
He first of all wanted to use taxpayer money to pay for the phony dossier on Donald Trump, and she got $700,000 through Terry McAuliffe for a state Senate race in Virginia, which was the payoff for not prosecuting Hillary, for not recommending the prosecution.
Sure, and I saw that, but then I saw reports that they've given big to Democrats.
I don't know what their wealth.
So, get today's news 10 months before InfoWars. The standard of cutting-edge, deep analysis, deep sources. Now, let's go to the BBC program. Well, I've been on this guy's show, and we've got Ted Malloch on there talking more about this general constellation of information. He's going to be joining us, former head of the Davos Group, next hour to talk about the accelerating demise of the New World Order. Here we go.
Is this damaging?
Yeah, that's a story.
Is this damaging Donald Trump?
I think quite the opposite, actually.
Why is that?
Used it to his advantage. I mean, yesterday, it was an incredible news conference, press conference. And he comes out the winner. He looks confident. He looks robust. He defends himself. And actually proves that the news media, at least some part of it, is trying to delegitimize his presidency, his election, and it's doing it by the use of fake news.
If it's not fake news, and we don't know,
let me tell you what the British intelligence told me this morning.
Okay.
This person, who they know, who was an MI6...
This is Mr. Steele.
It is Christopher Steele. Was also an FBI asset at one point in time, so he has intelligence background, but he was paid by the people that you mentioned who were working for Jeb Bush in order to discredit him. The Democrats took over the contract, as you said. He kept adding to the dossier and using information given to him by the FSB in Russia, most of it fabricated. The more he put into the dossier, the more he got paid. So he made a sensationalist dossier as fat as possible, just like your lawyer charges you more billable hours in order to get paid more.
You said most of it fabricated. What bit wasn't fabricated?
I don't know what's fabricated and what's not. Obviously,
so you don't know if most of it's fabricated.
Well, I mean, the stuff that we've read, the salacious stuff that we've read,
so some of it might be true.
Well, it is true that Mr. Trump was in Moscow.
For the Miss Universe contest.
Well, you know, these kinds of things are true as well.
Right. Okay.
Right to Rise PAC is the one that paid for it. It ties into Seth Rich, all of it. Wow, how the mighty have fallen. Babylon in 1 hour. They will try to counterstrike, and November 4th coming up. They're planning massive terror attacks nationwide. I say if the leftist groups do execute this, they all need to be dealt with swiftly. If you just tuned in, I felt like we ought to have champagne, and I'm not a champagne man myself, but I am on special occasions. I feel like we ought to be down at the local liquor store getting Dom Perignon, because the globalists are being routed everywhere, and it's just it's turning from a stumbling route to just a headlong. Before we can even get to them, they're just throwing themselves off cliffs. I mean, woo! It is good, and it is nice, and it is enjoyable to watch this happen. I mean, that old snaggletooth piranha, that old devil Hillary, that old snaggletooth, thinking she was going to be able to absolutely dominate and take full control of all civilization and beat God and show everybody how dominant she was when she's nothing but a lying sack of garbage. Cowardly little rat that other scum put in power because she was sycophantic. And then they died, and she knew where the bodies were buried so she could flutter around like a little vampire bat. Your expiration date's way up, lady. You're a big old bucket of rotten milk. Somebody pissed in, excuse me. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Elites move to sacrifice Clintons, just like Weinstein. It's up on Infowars.com. We should probably even add my video to this where I talked about this a few weeks ago. I said, you watch. They're getting ready to throw them overboard. Corey Feldman announces plan to expose Hollywood pedophile network. We're going to get to that video coming up. There is just so much going on here. And you've got all these Republican senators that vote with the Democrats, and you've got that arrogant Jeff Flake that, again, just a month ago, I showed this video of him hanging out with the other rhinos and laughing and smiling and putting on a confidence game and bad-mouthing Trump. And I said, you watch, he's going to either not run for re-election or he's going to lose, because they know everyone hates him with their own polling numbers. And they know that they're completely out of fashion, and that they can't engage in the election fraud they could before, because Trump's got a federal task force out with other private watchdogs now watching the polls. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's bad, folks. It's bad for these scumbags. And they don't know what to do now. And their little terror attack that killed all those innocent people, we put a fly in that soup day one. Blew your kettle of fish sky high, didn't we? Not going to let you put out that lie and hang that around the American people's neck when you little turkeys pulled that. They realize now they're surrounded. They're not surrounding us. We're surrounding them. And And what are they going to do? As it all comes out, they were on the Russian and Chinese payroll. What did Newt Gingrich say? He was on Fox. We played the clip yesterday. He goes, we need to investigate the Chinese and the Saudi Arabians and the EU and the Russians. Yes, let's have a national level committee hearings and let's have the agencies do that, because there's a group that's had their legs spread up behind their ears and the American people's, so the globalists could gang rape this country. And they're called the Democratic Party. And so what they feared most was all their sellouts. That's what globalism is selling your country out. They knew that all of this was coming. They knew all of this was happening. And they tried to project it on us. Oh, no, there's an insurrection. Oh, no, they're taking the country back. Oh, no, no one listens to us anymore. What do? Just accuse them of everything we've done. And I know you know that, but it's all coming out. And all they can do is have Huffington Post writers throw Russian flags at the president. Like, I want to play that clip. Last night we went out to a restaurant I thought it was pretty good called Russian House. I obnoxiously wore my red, white, and blue handkerchief just as a joke. But this is such an amazing time to be alive. And to watch them try to spin this now is absolutely hilarious. To try to spin Arizona Jeff Flake announces he will not seek re-election for U.S. Senate, and then CNN spins it, Jeff Flake just flew a kamikaze mission against Donald Trump. Yeah, him quitting is a sign he doesn't like the party and Trump. No, it's that he's a loser, that he's a fraud, that his voting record's a joke, and that their days of globalism and screwing this country over unopposed are over. So we're going to get to more of that in a moment, but here's a little joke video. The video is more powerful than the audio. You can go to my Twitter, Real Alex Jones. I tweeted it out. This is a little joke video we shot last night there, surrounded by the Russian and Soviet era festoonery. So here it is.
We pledge allegiance to Comrade Putin and his great minion, Donald J. Trump, to make America great again. We pledge this plan to destroy the Americans, to save their economy and their people and their border and their military. Hail Putin! Hail Russia! We will never surrender!
Здравствует Россия и Америка!
Yes.
За дружбу народов!
Yes, that is the KGB plan. Well done, comrades. We'll show the Americans.
That's good, isn't it? Just having fun with this ridiculous garbage. You know, I had a lot of family that was involved in the Cold War actions against the Russians. And, you know, it's really sad to realize that the same leftist globalist banks publicly, this is in the history books, finance the disease of communism and put it into Russia. And then used it as this other Christian force to fight while we were being destroyed by the very same ideology here. But see, all that is coming to a big, screeching halt. Briefly here, it's so simple. George Soros-affiliated groups are suing me, and I'm not going to get into all of it, and they're suing Roger Stone. I mean, a group founded by Obama, and, it causes issues. Now, I could get private equity money from 4 or 5 groups that have offered it to us, but then there's all the legalities of that. And if I have to, I mean, I will. It's just that I can still control my message, but I'd rather just completely do it in-house selling products. But they are trying to destroy us. And I fight back. That's why I'm hiring more people, more crew, great people, amazing folks. I'm going to try to hire Red Pill Black. She's amazing. All this. But I need money. Because I'm looking at the budget. I've not paid myself this year. I'm not complaining about that. I put some money away just so I can handle lawsuits and, deal with stuff. But for me, wealth is about a car that runs good, shelter, not having to worry about money. But money's not my God. It's the globalist God. They want to make us all poor so they can control us that way. I want to make us all wealthy and successful and independent, but also altruistic and chivalrous. I need funding. And if you'll just commit to go to InfoWarsStore.com and sign up for auto ship on things like coffee and supplements and things, the multivitamins and all the rest of it, and just get high quality products at very, very affordable prices. I mean, in many cases, we have products that are sold also on Amazon that we private label, and we're selling them for 50% less than they're selling the very same colloidal silver that's sold on Amazon and in Whole Foods, now owned by the same guy. And it is top of the line colloidal silver. At $19.95, it's $4 less than Whole Foods sells it. At $9.95, it's you know, just over the top good deal. But ladies and gentlemen, it's 50% off retail right now. InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. And if you just make the decision to go get a CNN's fake news T-shirt or a Molon Labe T-shirt, that way you just meet like-minded people but don't get hit in the head with a lead pipe by a so-called liberal. And we got shirts that are, you know, stealth shirts to write up to, you know, in their face shirts. We got it all. A bunch of different variants of Don't Tread on Me. There's a new yellow Don't Tread on Me we should put on the front page. It's so gorgeous. There's just a lot of great products. We got Kathy Griffin cutting Trump's head off, saying CNN's terrorist organization. It's all there. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com, or 888-253-3139. And we've ended the 50% off on Brain Force, but it's still a great product at the regular price. We got 50% off Silver Bullet right now, 50% off Anthroplex. Oh, what an amazing product. 50% off Winter Sun. Now's the time to get that. The best vitamin D3 out there. Take it out of the tongue. Super organic, concentrated. InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com, or 888-253-3139. And there's free shipping on all orders, $50 or more. And there's 10% off when you sign up for auto ship, cancel anytime. And you freeze it at whatever the discount price was as well. We'll be back with hour number 2 with the former head of the Davos Group. Stay with us.